Mahabharata.
So we
I can't
have
pronounce it like they pronounce it because I don't talk with the Indian.
indeed.
With yeah,
So Ross, so we have in 2024, we're talking about the Bhagavad Gita. We also have to keep in mind we have Indian woman by the name they say she's a black Indian woman by the name of Kamala Harris running for president. Is there any connection? Is there any prophecy being fulfilled with Kamala being in position to being the first woman Indian president with the name like we think about Kali Yuga? Her name is Kamala Harris. Is there any prophecy being fulfilled if she becomes president, or just the fact that she's running?
it's in India. It's the story of Kamala Devi, which was a goddess, but in the Christian Western tradition, it's the whore of Babylon. Right. So when you look in Revelations, you want to know where you at. Go to the chapter to talk about the whore of Babylon and the fall of the whore of Babylon. That's where we at.
So Kamala represents the whore of Babylon?
Yeah. Whew. That's why Joe Brown had to tell you that she sucked her way to the top. She's a Hawk Tua chief. she a Hawk Tua chief.
Oh man.
But look, we be at her head. But first of all, there's more than one Kamala Harris, and one of them is a man. And this is the secret of the whore of Babylon.
Don't start that, Rob. Please don't start that. Oh man, don't say that, Rob.
It's more than one Kamala Harris, and one of them is a man. I'm just telling you. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but then they seen the receipts and was like, "Holy, why we ain't been know that?" It's all part of the Statue of Liberty, Eiffel Tower connection with Parthodon Isis, which is Paris, and the fall of the Babylonian Empire, represented by Rome, and Rome is DC proper.
Right.
A lot of us don't know DC was named Rome before they named it Washington, DC. But it was named Rome. And then the seven hills sit there. So they telling us the narrative using the program of the Christian dogma. These stories was taken from ancient texts and they was reworked so that you can't get the true meaning of them unless you figure out the location in which they from. Right? We talk about the Gita, but if you go back to the book of Daniel and it say in the one was hewn from the mountain without the hands of a workman, right? And he rolled down from the mountain to strike the feet of iron and clay, right? Now this is Sun Wukong in China, who was sealed in the mountain for 5,000 years. Right, and then Titicaca came and recited the incantation to free him, and then one of the sorcerers gave her a band to put around his head to control him because he was uncontrollable. That's why they put him in the stone in the first place. But when you get to India, it's no longer the story of Sun Wukong. Now it's the story of Hanuman. Hanuman being the handyman, being the man capable of doing all of the things that need to be done in order to solve the problem. He's able to draw from spiritual sources as well as physical sources and able to put the story together. So when you get over here, you see the monkey and the eagle in the Nazca lines, and the monkey is symbolic of the monkey mind, the Sakoma, and the eagle is symbolic of the phoenix taking flight on the awareness that the monkey mind is the untamed mind that you need to tame in order to attain the wisdom required. So in the Sun Wukong story, he journeyed to the west to recover the 10 scrolls of wisdom. The 10 scrolls of wisdom is 10 different things that's being used to rule: economics, education, entertainment, labor law, politics, religion, sex, war, and health. All 10 of those things represent the 10 scrolls of wisdom, because when you understand how they're being used against you, you can use the same attack to defend as in Aikido, as in turning the force and momentum of your enemy around and thrusting it back up on you. That's all part of the Earth clans coming together, bringing their great heroes from around the world to form one juggernaut, like the Autobots form one big giant robot, Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime, yes.
Right. Optimus meaning the optimum, meaning the best of, and the prime meaning the original, the first one, the root. So they tell us the story in all of these narratives, but because we've been disassociated from who we was, our natural inclination to put these things together has been undermined and usurped by people that came to undermine and usurp who we were.
What does the Bhagavad Gita, Rod, say about, you was talking about the war in the heavens, and you mentioned Nimrod and it coming down to earth. Does the Bhagavad Gita go into the war that took place in the heavens?
No, it's looking at Earth and it's looking at the families lined up on opposite sides of the battlefield, looking at the war that's being fought on the earth, not the war fought in the heavens. That's a different scroll.
Is there any connection? You know how Ashwa Kwesi back in the day, he had the video Christianity stolen from ancient Kemet. Is the Bhagavad Gita, is it connected to any of the other stories we hear, like let's say the Anunnaki or ancient Kemet or Atlantis or something? Is it connected to any of these other systems?
Yeah, because when you start studying the Vamanas wars, you end up in India, because the Vamana Sutras is also taken from larger chapters of the Mahabharata. And then you have the Vedas, which is the wisdom teachings. The Vedas is contemporary with like Proverbs and Ecclesiastics, but it also tells stories in there, short stories too. So these texts are all what you call ancient pyramid texts. A lot of them is still in scroll form, untranslated in the Tibetan mountains and in the Vatican library. Those was the ones they wasn't allowed to destroy because the information they have was critical to the people.
Right.
All hieroglyphics translate. There's no hieroglyphics that don't translate.
So how is these going to translate? What do you mean?
They just don't know the keys to unlock the language.
Right.
But the language will translate itself if you understand body language, because most hieroglyphic writings is taken from the movements of the body when in physical motion. But it's like a scene from an animation.
Ooh. Hieroglyphics is imitated body language. That's what you say?
Yeah, the ones where you see people playing scenes.
Yeah.
Look, when you reach the alpha brain state and you sitting in the meditative position before the hieroglyphics, if you got the right DNA, they will come to life and play a cartoon for you. The cartoon will play out just like the story being told if you're from the bloodline. But if you're not from the bloodline, the pictures will remain stagnant and still. They won't move. But if you're from the bloodline, while you're looking at them, they'll start to take form. They'll start to move. They'll tap into your energy field and you will be awakened to what the hieroglyphics say without knowing what they say. That's all part of the awakening. When I say cartoon, I mean animated, like The Simpsons, or matter of fact, they even got an ancient hieroglyphic depiction of Marge Simpson. That blew my mind.
Wow. What do you think about? I had a brother who writes light language and he wrote some things down, Rod. What do you think about individuals who they go into this automatic writing and they write this language that we may not know what it is?
That's readable. It looked like gibberish, but it's readable. It's readable. It's full of symbols. So what he's doing is channeling, but he's not translating the channel.
Right.
So it's like you put your VCR in to record Big Time Saturday Night. You thinking you finna record wrestling, but you recorded the Spanish, what they call Sábado Gigante.
In the
Giant
movie?
Saturday, the big Saturday. So yeah, so, and now you got it on the video. You know what the hell they saying because you don't speak Spanish,
Right, right.
right?
Gotcha.
But you got another sense by watching what's going on. You might not speak the language, but you can grasp the basics of what's being displayed in the foreign language. It's the same with that type of channel. If he got to learn that language one symbol at a time.
Mm.
And then it won't be all over the page like that. It's going to either be from top to bottom, from bottom to top, from right to left, or left to right. It won't be all over the page. That's because he haven't tuned in to what the channel is telling him. He's just, being going into what they call an autotonic state where he
Yeah.
just automatically put it on there. He has
Right.
to learn that language. That's his higher consciousness talking to him in an ancient tongue that we haven't used in thousands of years.
Mm, mm, mm.
Right?
Yes. Shout
Consciously, he don't know what it means, but subconsciously, he know what every one of them things mean.
Shout out to the brother Dave. This brother, he brought this to the Gathering of the Masters. You know, it's funny. I said this on one of my previous shows, Rod. He gave this to me, and I folded it, and it got wet. I had it in my bag, and it got wet, and it was like a snowflake formed in the middle of it. Like, this is for water right here. It formed right perfectly in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
there's definitely some power in this writing and what the brother's doing. And I'm gonna tell the brother, like you said, to really tap in one symbol at a time to figure out exactly what's going on here, man.
It's a book called Encyclopedias of Occult Symbols. That's what he needs because he'll see almost all of those symbols in there. And then where you got variations, that's from the twist of the handwriting,
Right, right.
right? So I might write cursive, and my slant in my cursive might be to the right, but you might write cursive, yours might be slanted to the left,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
you got to understand the variations like that. And once you understand those variations, when you see the symbol, now you can use what's called the mirror principle, same but different,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what calligraphy is.
Right, right, right. What man, wow, this is a good. Let me get to I had a few super chat questions. Let me see. Somebody said the volcano erupted in Russia signals the awakening of the bear, his cosmic roar. Aquarius, the water bearer, has tsunami warnings in Pacific Ring of Fire. What's your thoughts on this, Rod? I don't know what's going on with this.
The Great Bear is Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. This is what we call it, the Big Dipper, Little Dipper.
Mm-hmm.
And the galactic timing in the age of Aquarius is normally signaled by a lot of water phenomenon. Floods, rainstorms, atmospheric river overrunning the atmospheric banks, it's pouring out on the earth, where it looked like water just pouring out the sky from nowhere, but it's not just pouring out from nowhere. That's the atmospheric river reaching its channel. It's becoming too full. That's the symbol for the spirit of the people of the earth becoming full, and overrunning and waking the people up. It's all symbolism until you know what it means, then it's telling you a story. And the story gonna always trace back to the holy drama.
Mm. Speaking of the holy drama, and we're talking about the Bhagavad Gita, one of the things it says in it is detachment. We hear a lot about detachment through different spiritual teachers. And one of the things that say is detachment is not that you own nothing. Detachment is that nothing owns you. I want you to elaborate on that a little bit, because when people talk about detachment, sometimes they could confuse it with, with something else, or think it means something that it doesn't mean. So what's your thoughts on this right here and what detachment is as far as the ancient meaning of detachment, Rod?
So when you look at ownership of material things, right? You
Yeah.
can't take none of that stuff with you. Attachment is holding on to material things as if you can take them into the spiritual world with you. You already got all that stuff in the spiritual world. You just
Right.
got to remember how to get it in the physical, because as above, so below. If you can activate it spiritually, you can activate it physically. The
Mm-hmm.
detachment is not to become obsessed with anything of the physical world, because it's passe. It's all coming and going, and it's going to come and go and come and go and come and go. It's elusive. Once you try to trap it, that's when it break free. But as soon as you let it be free, that's when it condensate on your presence,
Mm-hmm.
right? So people chasing the bag can't never get rich, but the people that don't give a damn, they care, but not too much. They filthy.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
That's the difference.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I seen when we was talking about the writings. You know, a lot of people in the chat started talking about, you know, them writing and them being left-handed or right-handed. One thing I noticed, Rod, because I play the piano, and even when not just I play the piano, when let's say I have ideas that I write with my left or right hand, I notice my right hand has a different personality than my left hand, Rod. So my left hand, if I play a melody with my left hand, it'll be different. It'll be some shit that my right hand don't think of. Same thing when I'm writing. If I want to think about some thoughts, depending on what hand I use, because I practice using both, a different thought will arise. So this is some shit that we're not used to tapping into because we're only used to using one hand. So talk to me about do you think it would be easier to tap into ancient knowledge as if we're right-handed, we started writing with our left hand or using our left hand more? What is it about the different personalities of the right and left hand, Rod?
You work the personality difference is the side of the brain. The right hand is using the father side, linear logic. The left hand is using the mother side, abstract. Artists who are ambidextrous have a higher output of creativity than the ones who can only use one hand.
Yeah.
Right. You ever seen a child start school in the kindergarten and he left-handed and they keep everything, keep focus, put it in his right hand, put it in, they shifting that child. They don't want him in his right brain. So if you ain't right, what are you?
Mm,
You wrong as hell.
mm, that's a good one.
So they do that on purpose. But some of the children is defiant to them forcing them to write with the right hand. Why? Because the influence of the mother line is so strong it overtakes the child left brain with the right brain. So now they right brain dominant. They more abstract. They more apt to be proficient in the arts and entertainment field than they are in science and technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you look at your left hand. That's your feminine expression of your higher self. When you look at your right hand, that's your masculine expression of your physical self.
Mhm.
So it's the spiritual you and the physical you. We used to be ambidextrous,
Yeah.
but that was systematically attacked by the patriarchs to try to keep us from ever accepting matriarchal influence by turning off the right brain of as many masculine entities as possible, then rape them to ruin them, physically rape them to ruin them.
Yeah.
Now they not fit the rule no more. They did that on purpose. They know what they doing. Slimy ass. They did it on purpose.
Yeah.
That's
You
why
said
you always hear me call out them rogue pedophile cross dressing drag queen priests,
right. Right.
pedophile priest cults,
Mm.
right? Because they know what they doing. If I didn't think they knew what they was doing, I wouldn't be hard on them. But because I know that they know what they doing, because they wrote about it. They wrote about the dirt they did, and they celebrated it in secret, and then they condemned it in the public.
Hmm.
Right. That's why they got to have all that secret squirrel shit going on. While they doing a secret squirrel, they can celebrate all of the wickedness that they do um, among their peers. But they come out and tell us, we not doing no dirt. That's
Hmm.
y'all out there. Y'all the criminals. Lock them up. We need a crime bill. We need a war on drugs. They bringing the dope over here, and the same people declaring the war on drugs. Creating circumstances and situations. That way you don't have to micromanage anybody.
Yeah.
You could create the condition, and the people will respond to the condition by nature. We've been in a perpetual state of war, but we didn't know who the enemy was, so we just fought anybody close.
Yeah.
So we fighting him because I wear blue, he wear red. I wear my cap to the right, he wear his to the left. Come on now. Then we find a better reason to fight each other. Like he broke in my house and tried to rape my sister, so I broke him up. You know, that's a better reason than because he got his hat turned to the left and mine turned to the right. He from a different tribe than I'm from. They turned us against each other. They deliberately sent infiltrators in these programs. They wrote about them. The FBI snitch program. They wrote about it. They got documentaries on it. And they telling you exactly how they infiltrate us in those videos. But we don't know, we don't believe we're in a police state, and we don't believe we've been warlocked for 400 years. So as long as we don't believe it, you can't get out of the condition that you don't accept exists, because now you be fighting in vain. You don't believe it exists. Even though you can see all of the symptoms of it, we're not in control of our economics. We're not in control of our education. We're not in control of our entertainment. We're not in control of our labor, from where we going to work at, how we going to work, when we going to go. We're not in charge of politics. We're not in charge of the religions of the world. Who is in charge? Because I got some questions for them suckers. But they hide and they do everything secret, so they look like they innocent, but they not innocent. They the dirt dealers. Right? They the ones running the kind games on the most amount of people. And they say that the bigger the kind is, the easier it is to run. And that's why we've been trapped in this American corporate kind game for 235, 240 years. Right? Because we didn't know, we thought it was real. We didn't know they was a running game on us. We thought that they was legit. They not legit. We the only ones legit. The original organic Mississippi ruddy red clay dirt walking around the land with this nappy hair to the wavy hair to the straight hair. Right? We came in multiple skin complexions. We didn't just start having light breaks recently. That's old. We used to call them the children of the moon when they was lighter than like these Europeans light. But we had them. They was called the children of the moon. You can read about them in Isis Unveiled by Madame Blavatsky. When she talk about the root races, then she talk about the moon race. And the moon race was the ones who was the light brights before Caucasians came along.
What
Today we would call Ashurics and Syriacs, right? But most of them just, you know, amalgamate back into the main line. And then you end up with these $7.50 Indians. They $5 Indians mixed with real organics. So they $7.50 Indians. They ain't $5 Indians.
Wow. That's $7.50 Indians. Wow. I mean, this brother here had a question in terms of the Bhagavad Gita. He wants to know about the 6 types of aggressors.
Right. That goes to the art of war. That's where the art of war is referenced in the Gita. And it's talking about the character types in the war. It's the same. They teach about it in any psychology class. They're called personality types. Right. And the 6 types of aggressor is the 6 agitators. The character types that's most likely to be an agitator in the circumstance that's conducive to him being a aggressor in his personality type based on his surroundings.
Let's get to some questions before we get out here from the people in the chat. Let me put my brother Rod Hayes Cash App up here for those who inquire about donating. Let me see, SikApe. All right, so we're gonna get to some Q&A. I'm interested in knowing what's on your minds. Powerful topic, the Bhagavad Gita. We're dealing with ancient texts for today's awakening. The brother Rod Hayes, if you would like to show the brother uh, financial support. Somebody asked about Cash App. It's up on the screen. Rod Hayes Cash App $ SikApe SIKAPE. All right, y'all. Make sure you show the brother Rod Hayes some love, the Cash App love, and we're gonna get to some Q&A before we get out of here. All right. We're gonna start with this first one. What do you feel is the message of the Bhagavad Gita? I guess you kind of already touched on this, but what do you feel the message is of the Bhagavad Gita? I guess the overall message.
The overall message is, in this spiritual war, don't be surprised who your adversary turn out to be.
Woo! Shit. Don't be surprised. What Biggie said in that song? He said, "Your mama have that ass line." What he said? Damn. And with 10 crack commandments, I think it was.
Yeah,
Your mama
he
had
said,
ass. You properly
I
gassed.
can't remember. Yeah,
If y'all remember Biggie's line, he said something about your mom, his mom's, in 10 crack commandments about how your own mother will set you up. If y'all remember, put it up, put it in the chat. Anybody who remembers that. But yeah, that's powerful, Rod. That is powerful. I'm gonna take questions about the Bhagavad Gita first. So if you have any particular questions, let me see about the Bhagavad Gita. Let me put it in the chat. Okay, well,
I ain't read that. I ain't read that book in about 20 years.
yeah, wow, damn. Somebody said ask Rod about the 90-foot statue of Hanuman they just unveiled in Texas.
If they, that's that, like, the size of it matters. 90 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to go and look at the symbolism around it, because the name of the city, the road it's on, all that stuff matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sign. And Hanuman, Bobby Hemming talked about Hanuman too, by the way, for if y'all want. But Hanuman is the Indian Monkey King, who is similar to Sun Wukong in China. And the Buddha called him Hanuman because he could do anything. So I'm not sure what they motive was. I have to read into it, because it's going to be some signs that will explain why they put it there and what was the motive.
Yeah, I think that's the line from Biggie. Your mama be in the bushes waiting to light that ass up, properly gassed up.
Yeah, probably gassed up. Your mama in the bushes waiting to light that ass up.
Shout out to Notorious B.I.G. Great lyricist. Great lyricist. Somebody says, what does it mean when you return with a sacred symbol imprinted on your skin?
You had a spiritual initiation. If you're talking about when you wake up out of your sleep, you went through a spiritual initiation on either the fourth or fifth dimension, and you had to bring a physical reminder in order to jar your senses so that you can activate that energy in the 3D. Same with birthmarks.
Mm-hmm. You got a birthmark, Rod?
I don't, but a lot of people that got birthmarks is telling us, like, for instance, in some cultures, they look for an heir that have a familial birthmark that only the heir has.
Mm-hmm.
And the islands, Tonga, Samoa, they really big on it, but they keep it concealed so that the settlers wouldn't exploit them with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's what those symbols be. People wake up with scratches on them. They went through a spiritual initiation, and sometimes they fought off some real wicked, nefarious forces, and you come out with the physical. It's like Morpheus told Neo in the Matrix, the mind makes it real.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Let me this next question. Let me get to this next one. I just seen something here. Where did it go? Somebody said, what does the Bhagavad Gita predate?
It predates the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. Well, all of that stuff is fairly new. but it's just reworks of ancient text. It's older than the Ethiopian Bible. It's pretty old.
Mm-hmm. Is it older than the Sumerian text?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to
I seen somebody say I must have knew Badine Bishop Wine in the shop. I worked at a club on the west side called Brick Social Club, and I met him in there like 2 or 3 times, but we never carried on any conversation of any significance. I
mm-hmm.
was working as a bouncer, and my extended the conversation was, "Excuse me, brother, can you let these people pass? Thank you, I appreciate it."
Indeed, indeed. Somebody said, any significance of Cleopatra